somebody had said once, they said, you seem so concerned about how you're doing or if you're doing the right thing or what you should be doing for your future. And they said, what would you be doing differently if you were retired? And I said, man, you know what? I'd probably set up a firm similar to what I have now with having kind of similar offerings with a team, kind of like how I have a team now, and love to pass the ball a lot. Sure would be fun to work with these different. Wait a second, I'm doing what I love to do.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your hosts here with Elite Entrepreneurs. And today we are privileged to have Matt Curtis with us from Smart City Policy Group. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having me, David. This is great.
We're delighted to have you. You've got a lot of times I talk with businesses, and there's a product, a service, kind of the typical run of the mill things. Yours is a little bit different. You guys work on helping cities figure out how to stay up in the forefront for all this technological and social changes so they stay relevant and their communities can continue to flourish amidst these changes. Like, first, how did you get into that?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I genuinely love public service, David. This is really funny. I often will refer to myself as a fallen public servant. I regret not saying in true public service, working at a city hall or a transit authority, county government. But I love helping people solve problems. I was driven when I was young by growing up in the Northeast. I grew up in very Irish or Italian neighborhoods where the priest was the local superstar. And they would oftentimes be the kind of people, especially back in the late 70s, the kind of people that were really almost working as public servants and helping people with their problems. Now, I didn't want to take the hard line of becoming a priest, but I really wanted to do something where I could soak up that public service and really enjoy that public service. And that's where I think I got the beginnings of it, and then little things along the way. I was lucky as a young man to get to meet and spend a little bit of time with Tip O'Neill. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, I look more and more like Tip O'Neill, which is not a good thing. I was able to spend time with Mario Cuomo when I was young before we moved down here to Austin, Texas. And then some very early people that I met when I was in Austin were our mayors and some of our elected officials here because, Austin traditionally doesn't have professional sports, although the University of Texas would love to tell people that we do have a professional sports team called the Longhorns. And so our stars were our community leaders. And I just loved it. I love the fact they were able to help people solve their everyday goals. And now I'm trying to take the lessons that we learned as Austin became sort of the it city of the world and help other local governments around the country and even some international governments that we work with achieve their goals and help solve their problems.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, the growth is fun. It's challenging. We run into issues. We overcome them. We celebrate. We mourn. There's all sorts of things. What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way? Let's say since you've become a larger entity, not back when you were just starting, but as you've grown, you've built your team. What are some things that have really helped you succeed and expand beyond just the few connections you had and the consulting work you could achieve in the beginning?
I think that having a better model to be able to replicate our work to so many different potential clients. There's 23,000 local governments in America. There's so many different private sector entities that are trying to work with those governments. And frankly, even sometimes we might get engaged by a community college or an association of realtors, anybody who wants to affect policy change or maybe even just get into business to have some type of public-private partnership, achieve some type of business endeavor with a local government. And I didn't do something early on. I wish I had done something because we had these great connections, but if we missed an opportunity, I think we didn't do anything to help propagate that work, be able to have a model. I think we probably spent a little bit too much time shooting from the hip. in my opinion, it was fun as we were young and growing to be able to try different things out. It's part of the adventure of being your own business operator. But if we could have done something differently, it would have been to have an offering that could be taken pretty much anywhere and pretty well replicated, so that we could maybe be gaining client potential even while we slept.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, so one of the shifts, and now you have that model. Is that fair?
Well, I think we're getting closer and closer to it. I wish that we probably had earlier on spent a little bit more time doing long range planning and kind of thinking about what works and what doesn't. What's the feedback that we're getting from different clients or potential clients, and how we could have um, a model that would speak to this changing landscape. The interesting thing about local governments is, with so many of them, and frankly having the touch to politics, is that that landscape can change significantly. So, based on a presidential election, based on a state election, based on maybe some kind of new technology or new, perceived best practice in local governments, um, the way we would offer solutions could change.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of those common things for all service businesses. Where we take and we say, "Hey, I can, I, I know my craft, so I could be as a craftsman, I can go and figure something out, and I can help you manage your world, your issue, and move forward." But when we get to the level of the customer, the product market fit, that really understanding the customer better, and we productize parts of our offering, that's that's when we're able to have larger scale impact, right? It doesn't mean that that product is the craftsman, because it just isn't. But we've seen it enough times that we know it can apply. Maybe not to. And I don't remember how many municipalities you said. If it was 13,000, whatever, it was a big number. But we've seen it enough times that we know it will apply to half of them. Half of them could really use this out of the box, ready to go solution, which could be an easy doorway in for more complicated solutions in the future if needed.
Yeah, it's so interesting, David. The issue that we have is something that you've heard about for a long time, and the thing that we're most known for, which is how city governments can gain, and county governments, and oh, property owner associations, can gain compliance around rules related to short-term rentals. People doing that sort of temporary transitory rental that is really known by I guess it would be five letters. I've never thought about that. Five letters of one company name that has branded themselves so well they've become the Kleenex or the Coke of the short-term rental industry. But people renting an apartment or a home, oftentimes for vacation purpose. And working with the different companies around that space, this isn't the only thing we do, by the way, but it's something we're known for. Working with the different companies around that space, or more often the local governments and association realtors around that space, we have the model that can help those local communities feel like they are achieving compliance with the rules that they want to put in place for their community. We can help ensure that they're getting their tax collection, that they understand the economic impacts on housing, and what the overall cost for creating the policy is. Meaning, how much does it cost every year if they're going to put some rules in place with all their team allocation, local government resources. But we've never really sold that as well as we should. We've really waited on people to come to us, or maybe done some fair amount of thought leadership around it, speaking at conferences, occasionally shooting from the hip and offering up our services a little bit, and this one tool that we have. But we need to be doing it better,
Yeah.
and I recognize that.
And I mean, you identify a great one. That's one that, again, a majority of those in the target market are dealing with it,
Mhm.
right? It's appealing. Now, there's some places nobody wants to go to and use a short-term rental, but where the population centers are and where all every the movement's happening, and then especially in those far away but quaint places, those are also places that are needing that, right? And weren't equipped to manage it. So it's how do we package it, and then how do we get the word out? Not that we can do everything, because our target customers can't hear that message. That's just white noise. But do you have this problem right now? Are are your constituents complaining about the, you know, the number of short-term rentals happening in their community? Do you not know how to manage that? How to, all of the different things, the staffing, all the various pieces that you have? We have a way. We've seen it across dozens or hundreds of others. We can show you a clear pattern so that they don't have to try to make it up. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, and that issue has brought us into so many other issues that are similar around emerging technologies, or other challenges that local governments are facing. And it's one of the neatest things. I always go back to how excited I am at the end of the day for doing what I'm doing. Um, it is an adventure,
Yeah.
and it's fun, um, and we're getting to see the world change uh, in real time, and we're very just in we're in the know on this, and engaged, and we can help these different communities or different clients with those issues. But it's a matter of how we better kind of package and promote ourselves, how we better make sure people understand what it is that we can do to help them. um, and I know that that's going to take probably greater structure for how we manage ourselves internally. I know that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. I will tell you one fun anecdote. Somebody had asked me once, they said, you seem so concerned because obviously, if you caught the Northeast Irish and Italian kind of Catholic connection, I suffer from a lot of guilt and shame issues. And somebody had said once, they said, you seem so concerned about how you're doing, or if you're doing the right thing, or what you should be doing for your future. And they said, what would you be doing differently if you were retired? And I said, man, you know what? I'd probably set up a firm similar to what I have now, with having kind of similar offerings with a team, kind of like how I have a team now, and love to pass the ball a lot. Sure would be fun to work with these different. Wait a second. I'm doing what I love to do, what I would love to do if I were retired. I mean, it is really cool that, we don't all get to find that place where we would work at if we had nothing else to do. So I genuinely love what I'm doing. It's really fun, and it's a really, really neat space.
Well, I want to take that as the second nugget that you've shared, and let's unpack it just a little bit. As business owners, we have an opportunity to really stop and think and say, what is my purpose? If I had some kind of impact I wanted to have on the world, what would it be? And then how would I go about delivering that in a way that would be deeply satisfying? And if we haven't taken that opportunity yet, we can do that with our current business or our current life and see, does the business serve it? Does it serve it, or are we serving the business? And which way is that relationship? Because if we can align our purpose to our day-to-day activities, or our day-to-day activities to that purpose, and then we can invite our team to do the same with us and bring them along. I mean, just the amount of joy that comes through is amazing, but so does the innovation, the discretionary effort that we want to put in, right? All that creativity just comes in because we're doing something meaningful. And there's no reason, no matter what industry you're in, you couldn't think about doing something meaningful. I just said no matter what industry. Okay. I may have some serious Irish back or similar Irish backgrounds. I think there are some industries I may not support, but they might, right? So other people might be thinking about their purposes and how they can align that. But that is a powerful key to get more than just clock in, clock out mentality from the team, is when they can put their all into something they love and it's fun and it's profitable and it has impact.
Absolutely. Roy Spence created something called the Purpose Institute. Roy Spence is the famous advertising icon who helped start GSD&M, this great advertising firm west of the Mississippi, and coined the phrase "Don't mess with Texas." And I think pretty much did all advertising around Southwest Airlines. And he started the Purpose Institute and really got into my marrow of my being about the importance of purpose. And
Yeah,
then we read David Brooks and we see so many other different authors talking about the importance of purpose. And it is pivotal to the function of an organization, even if it's small like mine or a larger one, like when I was at a pretty darn big global technology company before I started this. And whether you have that clear definition of what is the purpose and everybody knowing it every day, feeling it every day, not just having it on a wall somewhere, not just having it at the bottom of a website, but truly knowing it and feeling it. It makes all the difference in the world. And it is funny. It's such a great motivator,
yeah,
and it's such a clear motivator that just fills your heart and your being throughout the day in a way that almost you know, you don't want to say that earnings don't matter and the profit doesn't matter because it's important. You have to pay the bills. You got to make sure that people are feeling good. But boy, it sure does feel good to have purpose, and it makes that going to work every day and getting things done and being effective and being able to innovate uh, so much easier.
yeah. One of those. I'm not saying it's the holy grail of engineering or physics out there, but the discovery of the idea of perpetual motion, something that can feed itself and keep going and keep going and keep going endlessly, or even a growing source of energy, right? That can just roll and roll and roll. And in our businesses, that is what purpose is. You can motivate, which means to move, right? Out of mover, say, right? You're going to move, motivate something on a short term basis with carrots and sticks. Here's your reward, here's your punishment, all that kind of behavioralistic garbage. Or you can use this source, this endless source of energy or motivation, which is purpose. If we can truly serve purpose, not in a hypocritical kind of way, but in a very authentic way, and hold that high for all of us to serve, it's above even us as the owners of the business. Now, it has an energy to it that your team keeps giving. And we've got examples of team members who have left us and still come back to serve the purpose that we've had so deeply ingrained. And they come back, no pay, just to come be a part of the community, just to do because the purpose is still alive in them and they want to be a part of where it was born. Right. In their
Mhm.
own businesses, they're serving that purpose in others too. And it's been fun to watch just the kind of deep friendship, deep connection, and motivation to do. So, great example there. So that'll be the second nugget we're pulling out from what you shared today. Let's align those. That was great. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Because you've succeeded to this point, you have earned your current challenges. Right? That's what it is in entrepreneurship. We earn the next challenge. That is, we tackle that one and conquer it. We're able to continue to grow and expand our influence and impact. So, what's your current challenge? Maybe we could spend a little time on together.
I mean, it seems like the current challenge for me, it probably is. There's a couple things I can mention, but internal structure and being able to say that we have kind of like very clear thought about 2025 and beyond. That we're looking at the next 12 months and really, 12 to 48 months and beyond. What are some milestones we want to achieve, and how do we do that? Um, do I continue to grow in a manner so that we're able to add team members effectively, but work effectively in these different theaters of operation, if you will, meaning corners of the country? Do I maybe even look at growing a potential sales team or potential junior versions of me that could work with these different uh, local governments and potential clients, but from different theaters of the country. So one would be our internal growth. How do we deal with maximizing our potential? How do we deal with making sure that we're staying on target and thinking about our goals that we would like to achieve and setting up a structure around that? Um, and then I think the other would be if we were to get to a place where maybe we could better package our offerings in a manner so that they are selling themselves while other people are sleeping, while we're sleeping. That's the important one. While we're sleeping, and and that folks are able to buy our solutions and engage with us without us having to put effort into it. I think those are the two hot issues for me right now.
Let's. I mean, I could see where you're talking about. I want to expand more. We want to have more impact. Um, what happens if you get this kind of, or let's say, if you don't get the kind of clarity you're seeking? Because you're one question was, I need clarity for what needs to be done to succeed at our next level. And the next question was, um, within a product development sense, what's it going to take? How do we create something that can get legs of its own and move from place to place to place without Matt spending time cultivating a relationship for 4 months, 6 months, a year before they finally bring me in, which is a very expensive way to get the idea. But it probably is like that today. Is that fair?
Very much so, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's play with this. Let's look at this future and structure and planning, because I think the product question is part of this. Strategically, we have to decide we have limited resources. What's first? Is the first thing this product play, or is the first thing the team that can get us to a level that we can afford to put the time and attention into the product to take us to the next level? I don't know that answer. I don't know your cash flow, and I don't know your time requirements now. But let's play with the first question, because the second question may be a first priority. It may be a third priority, depending on what comes from getting clarity. Is that fair?
It does, yeah, absolutely.
So, if you were to solve this, how many municipalities did you say there are?
23,000.
Oh, look, I missed it by 10,000. so, so of the 23,000, within the next 10 years, how many of those do you want to help move forward?
Yeah, it's funny. To answer that question, it's you were so astute in what you said earlier. The communities that are large population centers, and then those disparate communities, vacation communities, if you will, where so they have problems related to short-term rentals, but also transportation and
Mm.
other issues facing kind of this new emerging economy, new emerging technologies that are helping to help local communities like that. So you're probably in the neighborhood of about 1,500.
Okay, so we have 1,500 who have needs that kind of scream for our kind of help.
Yes.
How many of those 1,500 do you feel almost called or driven that we've got to help this number of them? In the next 10 years, if we can't, it's almost like you failed.
That's a good question, and I would have to guess that would be in the neighborhood of 150.
So your group just wants to impact 150 of them in the next 10 years.
I think that would be well. When you ask me the question about what screams at you, it's probably in the neighborhood of 150. When you
Okay.
say 10 years, I think we could get to 1,500.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. Because let's be honest, in a consultative, beat the bushes style way, with the team size you have today, you'll hit the 150 anyway. You don't need a product. You actually don't have to strategize very much. You just have to stay on the road.
Right. That's true.
Okay?
Yeah,
All
you know
right.
what?
So,
It's so funny that you say that, David, because you probably have tapped into where my mindset is with what I have now. That I'm
yeah.
thinking in terms of the 150, not in terms of 1500.
So, so if we're going to then take this and say, I just want to pretend, I want to pretend it's 1500 instead of 150. If it's 1500 in 10 years, that gives us time. We have time to build a team. We have time to build product. We have time to think about the marketing, how things could get out there better, right? We have time to consider and build a pathway to 1500. Uh, but I asked the first question of where would you feel if you didn't get there? You'd think, we kind of failed. In other words, is it a strong enough pull? Because if 1500 isn't a strong enough pull, then what I'm about to share with you will be a good exercise, but it won't be useful. It'll
Yeah.
be a good exercise.
I do think that not, if you, when I think of some of the different things we could do in 10 years,
Yeah,
and the difference is, 10 years, and I'm in such a place where I'm still only thinking about 12 to 24 months out at the most. 10 years, yeah. I mean, I could definitely say that 1500 and even more is a very strong pull.
great.
1500 would, with the right product that we're offering, allow us for something that is really helping us to be a sustained organization even while we sleep. So
Yeah,
yeah, 1500.
great. Let's play with that then.
Okay.
Does your team feel that kind of pull? Do they want to have that kind of growth with you, or do they just like being together?
Boy, you know what? You've really, that stumps me because our team, we have such a sense of community and camaraderie. They love being together.
Yeah.
They love the mission and the purpose, but I think they love being together. We've created this such a level of enjoyment together.
They may be at a happy place now.
Mhm.
Now, I'm only bringing this up for the following reasons. So, if we want to plan out what we need to look like in 10 years, and that's the big hope, and let's pull back to 3 years, or maybe it's 20 years and pull back to 3 or 5 years to more actionable things. It has to be something that the whole team gets around together and they say, I want this. Because we're talking about motivation. And right now, your team is highly motivated to do the meaningful work they're doing with the group that they deeply belong with. They love working together with them. They're happy. They have reached their state. And so, if we feel like growth is necessary or desirable, we kind of need to do that together. So, my suggestion is this: do you already have an annual planning rhythm that you use right now for strategic planning for your team?
Not as well organized as we should.
All right. Well, let's just say, and I would suggest that, a first step, if you want to impact the 1500, first is to get the team to decide together that this matters. 1500 doesn't matter to them yet. We're going to have to get together and take 2 full days. And you're like, whoa, 2 days. I'm trying to get my work done. But some of the cities don't actually want to talk to you between November and January 1. And others want to talk to you a lot. But there's a chance there's some dead space in there.
Mhm.
Or maybe the 1st of January is a dead space because everyone's kind of getting back into it. Find 2 days, back to back 2 days. And with that 2 days, take some time to dream a little bit and put together your vision. And I'm going to define the vision in a very specific and practical way. So, first part of vision is a purpose. And you already are talking purpose level. You're talking about this higher level, help people achieve to really bring in these communities. Like we want the public servants whose deepest desire is to make something better for the collective. They just really are. They've got this goodness in them, especially on the local level. We want them to have the tools and resources and ideas to be able to implement and have the impact on their communities that will free everyone to rise up together instead of favoring one versus another. But let's find a way to do this together and co-create a better future instead of being caught behind and catching up and missing so many opportunities. So there's this like freeing, freeing all city servants, or all community servants to do this kind of thing. Or I don't know what the purpose is, but there's a purpose that probably doesn't even mention city governments, just talks about helping people come together in unity to create greatness.
Right.
Right. So there's going to be this
Absolutely.
purpose and it's up there. And now our business, we need a couple things a little more tangible. One is, what are our core values that says who really does belong? And it may be that everyone likes working around each other, but some, or it could be that all of your team are aces and it's perfect. They're the type of people who make decisions based on the same foundational principles. So when I talk about core values, these are the tenets of your belief as an organization, as a business, right? We treat people like this. This is how we approach problems. This is, it's like, and everyone's like, oh, yes, that's us. And it may seem a little weird to somebody else. But
Hmm.
to you, it's like singing music, right? It's just beautiful. We have to get those. So we have to have this big why and we have to have this big who we are. Then we get in this very practical sense where we say, we're here to help communities in unity rise up and be great and strong. Like we're here to help all, like whatever this big why is. And we say, how much should our business achieve in the next 3 years? Or what's our big vision 20 years down the road? What's the way out there? What do we have to pull off in 3 to 5 years to feel like we're right in line with that 20-year goal, which is right in line with the purpose? And the purpose is never satisfied. It pulls at us when we're not at work. We're doing things in our community that serve that. In our church that does that. That's how we treat our family, right? It's it's our why. And so then we get down to this practical, and this practical is this maybe. Let's let the team dream about it. Let's hear their numbers. Let's share the size of the communities out there. There's 23,000 municipalities, but about 1,500 of them are in this space of needing this kind of help today. Which of those 1,500 shouldn't we serve?
Wow.
How much of that 1,500 can we reasonably serve if we were to really stretch? Because what I don't want to do, and you could say this, like, but what I don't want to do is get to the finish line and feel like I'm just warming up. I want to feel like I left it all out there, that I really
Mm.
did my best. All right. I feel called to make something bigger happen. And so, what does that look like for us as a team? And let them beat that up until we get to, and I'm making it up now, until we get to 900 communities by 2029 will have, will have been impacted by our work. And they will, 900 communities by 2029 will be positively impacted by our work. And that could be one of the strike. Okay, I have a date. I have the number. Let's go after this. And the whole team has to be leaning and saying, I love that. It's not 150. We were going to get that anyway. 900. We're going to have to change the way we do business to pull that off. We're going to have to change the way we're structured. We're going to have to change maybe our product. We may need to change our team makeup, adding new people in different roles in order to really have the impact we want. May need to rethink and do these larger partnerships with others who could take this faster for us. We bring the IP, they bring the connections. I don't know what it looks like, but everyone sees that to get to 900, change will have to happen. We're going to have to stretch. That's all day one. Day two gets into, so what's the change look like
Mm.
this year? If we're going to get there in 3 years, what are the core strengths we're going to have to leverage? And what are some that we're going to have to develop? Or partnerships, processes that are going to have to be changed? What are some of the key things we're going to have to do differently? Because today, your organization, your team works all day on delivering on the promise. You're making the promise and delivering it. You're running your business. And they're going to have to see clearly where we're going in order to build the business that's needed to deliver at the 900 instead of the 150 level. Okay. And so that's the key. And when we leave this offsite, that's going to be done once a year. And then every quarter, we're going to come together and recalibrate and see. And there's going to be these teams working on little side projects while doing their day job. They still have these side projects that they're doing to build the business of the future that you need. They're going to look at some different tools and different things you need to work on. And some of those are going to be, yes, what strengths have to be built. Others are going to say, and how do we have to be organized? All right, we're going to need a certain structure that can not just go and serve these 900, but that serves the team so they flourish through this because we love who we work with. Let's keep that culture going. Let's keep doing this great stuff. And that may mean that Matt can't have 12 people reporting to him. It's going to have to be a little different. And we're going to have to think of how do we build them and support them as this organization grows and yet keep the passion high, keep the
Mhm.
purpose up there high. So I would start with that annual offsite, and I would get clear, and I would pick just this first time. I would pick just one priority for the year. You're saying for this year, we have to go build this new strength that we don't have today, and we've got to pull it off. And this is what it has to look like. Um, if you finish it early, great. Pick another priority, but just start with one, so the team starts to learn. We don't just do our day job, we're pulled in for some of this strategic work that helps us address the needs of the future. To get to some of that strategic work, you may go through a process of scanning, and you do this in your government work for the governments. You're looking at social trends, you're looking at technological trends, you're looking at all these things, and you're saying, how is this affecting them? And how do we have to position ourselves and all that sort of stuff? You should do that kind of work and then get your team collectively while you're doing this offsite to ask strategic questions. How do we achieve this, or how do we do this given this barrier? They're looking at the 900 and they're like, to do that, it looks like we've got a weakness in client acquisition. Um, and I don't know, the way we've been doing it is expert talking to them all the time. Could
Mhm.
we build, right? And they start saying, what if we build a relationship with the people who sell this into the government? In fact, they're in with probably 1,500 of these targets. What if we built a relationship with them and they helped us through the door? What if we built a strength around other relationships to get us in quickly? How do
Mhm.
we build the trust faster? Or how do we build a sales team that can go and build that trust faster? Or how do we build the product? And there's going to be all these questions will be there. How do we build a product that can go and have legs of its own? Or how do we build a sales team that can take this around? And they're going to come up with all these questions. And then your team can rank and say, I think this is the one we have to do for year one to make the roadmap get us to that end. But that's going to be key work, is get them to ask the questions with you,
Yeah.
because we're doing what you do with cities. we're
Yeah.
getting
Right.
we're getting buy-in, we're getting feedback early, so then when we pick something, everyone's all in. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. You gave such great, uh, guidance there, and it's so interesting because just the challenge of getting an effective offsite completed. I have to think back a good few years to the last one that I felt like was truly effective. Um, and asking that we maybe were trying to talk about too much rather than just, as you said, the one priority or the one priority for the new year. And then the other part of the exercise is allowing the team members to contribute more. In some cases, it's the act of trying to prime them more to get them to actually
That's right.
get invested.
That's right. And as you do that, not your first time, you'll get some out of the first time, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time. And use the quarterlies so you keep priming them, right? So let's say a year and a half into doing this, you will have trained your team to think strategically with you about building your business, not just running the business.
Mm,
And so those offsites, we don't talk about this city's need and that administrator's problem. We don't
mm,
touch daily operations. We talk about the strategic direction, future of the business. We have other meetings that talk about the operational needs. This is about the strategic ones. This is about building the new engine. Instead of being on a bicycle, we're going to move up to a moped, then we're going to go to a motorcycle and a car and a plane and eventually a rocket ship, right? But it's about building that new engine that's needed to get us to the next level. That's what these quarterlies and annuals should be about. We have other meetings to take care of the day to day, and that will buy you the time and focus to do this a little bit better with them. We're running out of time. I wish we could spend more right now, but we can't. So we'll wrap up. Matt, if somebody has some great, like they're in an industry trying to work with city governments, or if there's a city government that's saying, "Man, we need help to stay on top of things. We want to serve our constituents well, but we could use a little help." How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? I mean, the easy way that we have right now is really just through our website, and oftentimes it's connection through personal connections.
And
Our
and that website is
smart
smartcitygroup.com, correct? Smart
smartcitypolicygroup.com.
City.
Smartcitypolicygroup.com. And I'll tell you one interesting thing about that. They the term smart city became somewhat overused, like oh, try to think of one, but the way some people just use soda instead of
Yeah,
we talk about whatever type of drink they want. But Smart City Policy Group has actually really helped us just having a good brand identity and a good name to
great.
connect with a lot of people. But yeah, the website,
Okay,
and so smartcitypolicygroup.com.
perfect. Uh, we would love to dive in more. We don't get to. So, Matt, that wraps up this episode. And thank you for participating. Thanks for sharing your insights and bringing your passion for what you do to the
David,
show.
you're remarkable. I mean, I think I could listen to you all day long. You're kind of like listening to a tremendous business therapist, and your abilities are deep. So I'm excited to continue to follow you. And frankly, I'm going to be very encouraging of a lot of friends to look you up and follow this group.
Well, thank you so much. And for any of those listening who appreciated the things that Matt brought to us today, please like, share, give it to other business owners so they too can benefit from what he does and his group. Until next time, keep striving, keep learning, keep growing, and keep caring.